Hello everyone, now we are going to take a look at the facial artery. So, facial artery. And you know the facial artery again is a branch of the external carotid artery given off above the greater cornu of the hyoid bone. So again, external carotid artery, internal carotid artery and common carotid artery. And the beginning we have drawn the superior thyroid artery over here, we have drawn the lingual artery like this, and now we have the facial artery. So the facial artery sometimes arises in common with the lingual artery as a linguofacial trunk. And for the facial artery, you have a part of the facial artery in the neck, you have a part of the facial artery in the face. So suppose this much of the facial artery is in the neck, and this is the facial artery in the face. So you can make out that for the facial artery in the neck, you have a small loop, and this loop is actually formed around the submandibular salivary gland. Now the part of the facial artery that is in the neck will be approached by a dissection of the carotid triangle, and the upper reaches of the facial artery will be approached by a dissection of the digastric triangle. So when the facial artery is actually going beneath the mandible and crossing its lower border and going deep to the mandible, at that portion of the facial artery is actually visible only in the digastric region, in the digastric triangle, and the origin of the facial artery that is visible in the carotid triangle. So suppose we draw the greater cornu of the hyoid bone somewhere here. That means that you have to draw the mandible somewhere here. This then is the mandible. And you can see that the facial artery has gone on to the face by crossing the lower border of the mandible over here. So the facial artery crosses the lower border of the mandible and goes up into the face. That means this part of the facial artery is actually deep to the mandible. Now, how are we going to correlate all this? First, let us take a look at the facial artery in the face. To draw an enlarged picture, suppose you have the external carotid artery and you have the facial artery going up in the neck. Now this facial artery in the neck gives off a series of branches. It gives off an ascending palatine branch, it gives off a tonsillar branch, and it gives off, when it is going deep to the mandible, it gives multiple branches to the submandibular salivary gland, and when it is going up into the face by hooking around the mandible, there it will give a submental branch. So ascending palatine, tonsillar, glandular and submental branches. These are the branches of the facial artery in the neck. Now this ascending palatine branch is supposed to go to the soft palate. Now when it is going to the soft palate, how it will go to the soft palate? It will take a deeper pathway and it will go around the pharyngeal wall. If it goes around the pharyngeal wall, because this is the hyoid bone, you expect the lower reaches of the middle constrictor, and when it goes to the top part, you expect it in relation to the superior constrictor. So this ascending palatine branch hugs the middle constrictor, superior constrictor, goes along the pharyngeal wall to the base of the skull, and in the base of the skull there is a gap between the superior constrictor and the base of the skull that is called the hiatus of Morgagni, and in that gap you have the ascending palatine branch of the facial artery going in and supplying the pharynx from inside. In doing so, it is pursuing a similar course to the pharyngeal branches of the ascending pharyngeal artery. You see, in ascending pharyngeal artery also, that was going along the pharynx up to the base of the skull and hooking around the upper margin of the superior constrictor. This ascending palatine branch of the facial is also pursuing a similar course. It is going along the pharynx and dropping inside the pharynx above the superior constrictor, supplying the pharynx, supplying the constrictor muscles. And not only that, because it is going inside the pharynx, it is supplying a part of the auditory tube also. So it will supply auditory tube, give some branches to the tonsil, supply the constrictor muscle, and when it has gone to the pharynx, it will anastomose with the other pharyngeal branches. That is the ascending palatine branch. It will anastomose with the pharyngeal branches of the ascending pharyngeal artery, and because it is going also to the soft palate over the pharynx, then it will anastomose with the branches of the greater palatine arteries also. So ascending palatine, next you have the tonsillar branch. Now this tonsillar branch, when it has to go to the tonsil, this also has to pierce the pharyngeal wall. So you see on the outer surface of the palatine tonsils you have the superior constrictor muscle. So whenever you are going to pierce the pharynx and go into the tonsil and supply the tonsil, the palatine tonsil, you also have to pierce the superior constrictor. So the ascending palatine pierces, gives branches to the constrictors. The tonsillar branch also pierces the superior constrictor and supplies the palatine tonsil. And then you have the glandular branches. To get to these glandular branches, you have to draw the mandible. So suppose we draw the mandible separately. This is the head of the mandible, the condylar process, the coronoid process, and we are drawing the mandible like this. And somewhere deep to the mandible you have the submandibular salivary gland. So somewhere here you have the submandibular salivary gland. Now what this facial artery is doing over here, it is coming like this and it is going deep to the submandibular salivary gland, and then it is passing between the submandibular salivary gland and the mandible, and it is hooking up and it is going over the face. And you know that over here you have the masseter. You have the masseter over here attached to this ramus of the mandible. That means this facial artery is entering the face over the anterior edge of the masseter. Now when it is going deep to the mandible and it is curving around the submandibular salivary gland and then again coming out beneath the lower border and then hooking around the mandible and then going up into the face, and actually it has curved around the posterior surface of the submandibular salivary gland. It is at that point that it has given multiple glandular branches supplying the submandibular salivary gland, and before it gives these branches it has given the submental artery. Before these glandular branches are there and before it is taking a curve beneath the mandible, it gives the submental branch. Submental branch goes to the tip of the chin and anastomosis with the mylohyoid artery and the branches of the lingual artery. They anastomose together beneath the chin. Now you see, once the artery has curved around the anterior border of the masseter, it has entered into the face, and in the face it will go right up to the medial angle or the inner canthus of the eye. Now in the face it will give an inferior labial branch to the soft tissues of the lower lip. It will give a superior labial branch to the soft tissues of the upper lip, and it will give a lateral nasal branch to the ala of the nose. Now as you know that this facial artery which we have drawn straight is not exactly straight, it is quite tortuous. So in the face you have to draw the facial artery like this. So you have the facial artery in the face, tortuous, and at the anterior edge of the masseter you can feel the pulse of the facial artery, and when the facial artery has gone into the face, it is covered by the platysma as usual, and when it reaches the angle of the mouth, it is sometimes embedded in the modulus, that is the crisscrossing of muscles outside the angle of the mouth. There the facial artery is often embedded, and the facial artery may pass beneath the zygomaticus major, it may pass beneath the levator labii superioris, and it will approach the inner angle of the eye. So it will approach the inner canthus of the eye, and there it will anastomose with the dorsal nasal branch of the internal carotid artery. So at the inner angle of the eye or the inner canthus of the eye, you have the anastomosis between the termination of the facial artery and the dorsal nasal branch of the internal carotid artery. So here you have an anastomosis between the internal carotid and the external carotid. Not only that, we have been seeing anastomosis between the two side right and left facial arteries beneath the chin in the submental region, inferior labial, superior labial, lateral nasal. They are also anastomosing with the arteries of the opposite side. In fact, above the superior labial artery, this entire portion is also called the angular artery because it is going to the inner angle of the eye, just as you have an angular vein over there. Now this facial artery is tortuous, and it is actually tortuous to accommodate the movements of the jaw and to accommodate the movement of deglutition, and the facial vein, which is slightly posterior to the facial artery, is much more straight because it pursues a course much closer to the fulcrum, that is the condyle of the mandible, which is the center of the movement. So because it is much closer to the center of movement, it can afford to be straight, and because the artery is much more away, and it is therefore probably tortuous. So this is how you have to study the facial artery in the neck and the facial artery in the face. In the neck you have ascending palatine, tonsillar, glandular, submental branches, and in the face you have inferior labial, superior labial, lateral nasal, and the end of the facial artery where it anastomoses with the dorsal nasal branch of the internal carotid artery. And this relation of the facial artery to this submandibular gland is important. Another thing you must keep in mind is that when the facial artery goes through the face, actually it is covered superficially by the branches of the facial nerve. So from at this point here you have the parotid gland, and from the parotid gland you have temporal, zygomatic, buccal, marginal mandibular, cervical, all these branches of the facial nerve, and all these branches are quite superficial to the facial artery. So you have already studied the face, so you know all about facial vein and the facial nerves and the parotid duct also in the face. That's all for this session. Thank you.